Welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win Speed Round insert version here. I think we might be on 7 or 8 right now. I know I've done a lot of them. So yeah, let's just get into it. This first one comes to us from Red Lantern. I think that's the name of the person who gave me this. Who asked the question, who would win a fight, Yamcha versus Black Suit Superman? Black Suit Spider-Man. And I've already done Yamcha versus Spider-Man. And while the Black Suit, the symbiote suit amps Spider-Man certainly, my opinion on that actually doesn't change. I think Yamcha would win that fight. The reason for that is actually very simple. While Spider-Man Spider Sense is one of the best, warning systems around, it's still a warning system. It doesn't mean he immediately reacts. Thus, anyone just moving faster than them, even with his spider sense, won't matter. And all the Z fighters, even the lowest level ones, can move at speed so fast that you can't see them by normal human standards. Even if that's the case, he also has the usage of ki and the ability to fly. Ki being more or less plasma in some degree. It's never really scientifically explained in Dragon Ball what ki kind of is. But given everything else, if ki hits Spider-Man in his black suit, well, because it's superheated, it can burn, it can do concussive damage, so forth and so on. The symbiote would be more weak to that than Spider-Man normally would himself. So the symbiote's going to react violently to it. He hits Spider-Man with a Kamehameha, Spider-Man's going down. Is it impossible for Spider-Man to win? No, but I think this still is very much in Yamcha's court. So I would go Yamcha for this particular fight. Then from Jason Chappa, we have Uber Jason from Jason X versus Darth Vader. Physically speaking, Uber Jason might be stronger, physically speaking. But that's really it. Vader can literally just yoink, yahoo! And with the force, like, no, my annoying. While he survived re-entry into a planet's atmosphere, lightsabers are pretty much are straight plasma. You're literally walking around with the sun in your hand with that thing. So even his durability would not stand up to a lightsaber. And again, Vader would just have to have him just go, you're not dead yet. Okay, take the head off and there you go. This would be a pretty quick fight, in my personal opinion. From Clark Kent 46, Edward Cullen versus the Riot symbiote from Venom 2018. I'll admit, this one is one of the closer ones. Edward, despite the fact, take the hatred of Twilight out of the equation. And I do not like Twilight. At all. Take that out. I will not say that the vampires are necessarily weak in that universe. Edward, we know, is so fast that a normal human can't keep up with him. Similar to Jacob, if you were to punch him as a normal person, you actually would break your hand. Break your hand out. He's strong enough to literally tear a big tree out from the roots. He's over 100 years old, so he does have some level of experience. Plus, he can just tear your head off. And he can survive in sunlight, which is good for him. So, Edward isn't without some ways of winning. Problem is, when you look at what the Venom symbiote, the symbiotes in general in the Venomverse for Sony are like, he doesn't actually have a means to kill Riot. Riot, by all accounts, is just a large mass of goo with a human body in the center. Now, if Edward could somehow get to the human body in the center, that would possibly be different, but Riot can honestly just go find a new dummy and leech off of that. So it's kind of irrelevant even if he kills the host in that regard. He has to be able to kill Riot. And unfortunately, it's not like he's going to be able to drink Riot, like how Venom was able to eat Carnage. It's different because Venom's a symbiote. That's a symbiote. It makes sense he could eat a symbiote. But it's different in this case where, as a vampire, he doesn't really have any way to either kill or consume the symbiote. Whereas Riot has many ways to decapitate, skewer, tear apart Edward. He's arguably just as fast. In context of what we see, it doesn't seem like they're moving as fast as he does, but that's because in context. Even if he's not as fast, he's far more durable than Edward is. Edward maybe tries to hit him, maybe you're annoying. He'd eventually catch Edward and just skewer him or crush him, just decap all that. Venom, any one of the symbiotes from the Venomverse in the movies would wreak havoc on the environment and the races of the Twilight universe. Werewolves would not be able to do anything against these guys, ultimately. These guys feed on brains. So, granted, because he's technically dead, him trying to eat Edward might be a funny, last bit. He bites off Edward's head, Edward dies, but he just coughs it up, and just, gets sick from it. So that would be funny. But no, Edward wins that fight. 100%. He wins that. I'm sorry. Riot wins that fight. 100% I think he wins that fight. Then from Twin Star Azog, who in a fight, Chucky or Deadpool? Deadpool. There's no conceivable way Chucky wins. Even if you try to factor the voodoo in, it's like hoodoo. To which Deadpool would probably just start doing a freaking labyrinth. It's like, you remind me of the doll. What? The doll with the power of voodoo. You do. Remind me of the. Anywho, you can still get up? Oh my god, chink. It really isn't much of a fight here. There's no fight here. There really isn't. If Deadpool is beaten and gone against far weirder and far stronger than Chucky ever could throw at him. So Deadpool wins that fight. Then from, Mozan Shimiya? Forgive me if I'm butchering your name. Gamera versus Anguirus. Another one where these guys technically probably exist in the same world. Maybe. We've never seen Gamera and Godzilla fight, unless you watch Death Battle, which I agree with the outcome of that. We don't know for certain if they exist in the same world. Point being, though, is that you have Gamera, who's a protector of the Earth, can use mana, fire, shoot plasma, uses fire, create a plasma limbs if they're lost, regenerate, highly durable, fly into space against a spiky Ankylosaurus. Anguirus is going to get stomped in this fight. He's very much going to get stomped in this fight. There's really not much he could do, because even if he ends up hurting Gamera in any way, Gamera would just go into the air, get some distance, recoup, come back, and beat him out. Then from Trout Strike Fly 2, some of your names were very interesting. We have Diego from Ice Age versus Simba from The Lion King. Now look, a tiger versus a lion, you think a tiger would take that, it's a bigger cat, but a lion's actually a more experienced fighter because they have to defend prides. So more often than not, a lion might actually win that fight. We're talking about a full-grown male African lion versus a Bengal or something like that, or a Siberian or whatever. And even then, the Siberian might win because of sheer size on that regard, but regardless. We don't know, obviously, the habits of saber-toothed tigers. We're also looking at fictionalized versions of these type of creatures. So what do we see ultimately in these movies? Well, we do see Simba as a lion fight to defend his pride. We do also see Diego fight with other saber-tooths in the first movie. He doesn't do that much beyond that movie, but we do know that he fights with them, which means that they probably have a similar structure to lions. Which means then you get a saber-tooth, which was a bigger cat than a lion, and it knows how to fight and fights regularly against the lion. Well, then the outcome's going to be the saber-tooth. So Diego, in my opinion, wins that fight. Plus, Diego also has to deal with a lot more crazier shit than Simba does, being in the prehistoric time and having to deal with some more dangerous animals. So there's that. Last but not least, we have we have the from I think this is Smolder Young Oculus of the Young Six. There it was. We have the MCU version of the Avengers versus the Olympus 12 from Digimon. Now, this is the one I saved for last because this actually was going to be its own video. Then I realized I made a mistake on the dates. So I decided to just add it here. It's still going to be a relatively short fight, but who do you count on the Avengers is the big thing. Do you use the original core we had there, or do you expand it to the individuals who ultimately came on the Avengers? Because it's the Olympus 12, I will expand out to who's ended up on the Avengers as well for like the max potential you could have. And what I mean by that is not Endgame where everyone was there. I'm talking about anyone who's officially stated to be an Avenger. So that's Rhodey, that's Vision, that's Scarlet Witch, Wanda, that's Spider-Man. Doctor Strange does not count. He is not a member of the Avengers. Trying to think of if there was. Falcon is an Avenger. So yeah, that's that. And then you have the original. I believe it's 6. Hulk, Tony, Thor, and I don't think Carol's an Avenger either, is she? Natasha, Steve, and Clint. Okay, that's 11. I don't think Carol is counted as an Avenger. Oh no, Ant-Man is considered an Avenger too. So there's 12. There you go. That's 12. He's an Avenger. So who are the Olympus 12 in Digimon? Well, they're 12 Mega level Digimon, which means they're near pinnacle of power for Digimon. Megas all have their own levels of power between Megas. There are stronger Megas, but generally speaking, they're Megas, so they're on the top tier of most Digimon. Granted, there are levels beyond, but those are exceptionally rare. And they all represent gods, Greek gods. So you have Apollomon, who is. Do I have a picture of? I'm going to expand the photo just so people can see. So the one on top is Jupitermon, who is essentially Zeus. The one below that is Neptunemon, who is Neptune. Apollomon, Apollon. Dianamon, Diana. Mercuremon is the one with the wolf head. Vulcanismon, I believe, is Vulcan. Which Hephaestus, if you're more looking for like Greek versus Roman. Mervamon is this little Valkyrie down here. Then you have that, I believe that's Junomon, who I believe is supposed to be Hera. Then you have, oh god, that one. That's like your Aphrodite, your Venusmon. And there is also one other one in here somewhere that's hiding, I think. There's 2 actually here who are hiding. But then you have one who is basically like Dionysus, who is kind of like a giant. Whose animal representation is a snake. And then you have one who is Ceres, who is a giant bird, but who does have a humanoid form. And yeah, so these are your gods, the gods that work, and they're all insanely powerful. Apollomon alone has a attack that can literally smelt anything into nothing, like smelt anything, burn anything away. Bakuismon, who is basically your Dionysus, is capable of consuming anything and turning it into a poison, or converting converting a person's data, or Digimon's data, into food and eating them, or just getting too much to drink and firing an energy blast. Ceresmon, which is a giant bird, is a giant like forest bird made of a forest. It's able to spew magma, like liquid from its body, slam its giant forest onto the ground, just crush individuals. It's a huge Digimon. You have Dianamon, who's capable of putting individuals to sleep or confusing them and thinking they're the enemy. Junomon is basically, like I said, Hera. She's capable of more or less like summoning thunderclouds, lightning, as well as being able to, and I've got to wrap this up quick, as well as being able to like summon sentient lances to attack. Jupitermon is capable of thunder, of passing judgment. Mars is just a brawler, which is Ares. Mercuremon is considered to be the fastest one, the wolf one. And he's going to move at blinding, teleporting speeds. Minervamon is a warrior through and through. Neptunemon is a ruler of the seas. Venusmon is a healer, and Vulcanmon is a smith. So the question just quickly becomes, who among the Avengers is even capable of taking these guys on? Because there's a giant chunk of the Avengers who can't do a damn thing. Black Widow, Natasha, there we go. Natasha, Hawkeye, Ant-Man really aren't going to be able to do much. Even Giant Man can't even do much. Cap really not going to be able to do much. You're going to need some of your more powerful powerhouses like Wanda, Falcon, not going to be able to do much. Like Thor, Thor, Iron Man with his best suit he can have available at the time. Hulk. Those are your heaviest hitters on this team, and Vision too. Vision should be able to hopefully put up a fight. So the question now just quickly becomes, for the MCU equivalent of what we've seen, do these guys have what it takes? Thor, the hardest one I think for the hardest ones for the Olympus 12 to take down, I think are going to honestly be Thor and Wanda, particularly for Jupitermon, who is Zeus basically. Lightning is something Thor is pretty much immune to. They're going to be duking it out for a while. Wanda's abilities as the Scarlet Witch, especially because they're going to keep going farther and farther, be more and more powerful, are going to be a problem for the Olympus 12. And Vision's vibranium, honestly, the Mind Stone is what it is, but it's Vision's vibranium body is going to be difficult for them to get through. That all said, the Olympus 12 all are highly powerful, because you already have to slice out a bunch of the Avengers already who can't do anything. So again, that's really Ant-Man. Maybe he can get small, but he's not going to be able to do much. Even if he tries to expand in him, I think they're going to be able to figure it out, find him, and just whap him away, even if he manages to kill one. So Scott's out. Natasha, Clint, and Falcon already out. So that's already 4 out of your 12. You're already down a third of your team right now. And Steve, as powerful as he is, can't do anything against these guys. That's 5. 5 out of your 12 are already gone on that team, whereas they have their full 12, all with array abilities. Even though they focus on data in the digital world, in theory, by all accounts, if you decide, that should have a similar effect in the real world. It's not converting data per se, but maybe information, biological information, whatever. So if, like, for instance, Thor or Wanda gets captured by Bakukusmon, or Bachususmon, basically Dionysus, and you use the technique to convert them into food and eat them, well, they're screwed. There's nothing they can do. Same with Vision. In fact, Vision might actually be the one who's most in danger here because he's mechanical and actually does have data in him. So, and then you get the guys who literally move so fast they teleport. You get guys who literally are giant bird islands that can just smash and spew lava. You get individuals who allegedly can melt anything. Unfortunately, the MCU version of the Avengers are pretty outclassed here. If we included, like, say, everyone from Endgame, they might have a better shot, especially with Captain Marvel. But Captain Marvel, as far as we know, isn't technically an Avenger. She's called the first Avenger, but she's not, or she's called an Avenger, but she's not actually part of the team, technically. At least officially, I haven't said she's officially part of the team. Just like Doctor Strange. They said Doctor Strange is not an Avenger. So ultimately, I would go with the Olympus 12 on this. If I had more time, I might do a more in-depth video, but this one kind of was spontaneous. That's why I saved it for last, because I spend the most time on it. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you think? Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks next time.